Alrighty, and we are live. Welcome to the second edition of the ASUW Townhall, talking with Talamantes and Titus. Um, this edition of Talking with Talamantes and Titus is during the events for Cowboy Connect. So we have some exciting information for you all, catered specifically towards first-year students, and we will kick it off with Riley.
Cool. So today, just on our agenda, Courtney and I are going to be giving you all some tips and tricks on how to, survive your first year of college, and then also talking a little bit about student involvement at large at UW. So, even if you weren't a first year student, there are definitely some other avenues that you can get involved in. And then Courtney will also be talking a little bit about first year student involvement specifically in ASUW. And so the first tip and trick, I kind of have is that it's important to recognize that college can be intimidating. I'm not sure if any of you know, just because I feel like I've done a lot of videos about me being an out-of-state student, but I am an out-of-state student. I came to UW and I didn't really know anyone. And it was really hard for me because this was the first time where I really had to learn how to make friends again. It was intimidating just, with the academics, and then it being kind of overwhelming with so much stuff happening on campus. And it can be intimidating. And so I think some of the tips and tricks that I have for you all that kind of helped me through my first year experience is really utilizing some of the resources that, you pay for through your student fees at UW. And I just want to remind students that if you are all online this semester and you do not have an in-person component, you do have to sign up for the mandatory student fee package in order to utilize things like the STEP Tutoring Center, the library, the counseling center, basically all the good stuff that you want to utilize this year, even if some of your classes are going to be online, because most of these resources and services are still offering virtual components for students to utilize. But when I was struggling making friends and I felt pretty lonely during my times at UW, I really liked going to the University Counseling Center because I didn't really it didn't feel like they were treating me for something, but rather just giving me advice and tips on how to really open myself up. I'm also an introvert too, so I think that kind of made it a little difficult for me to really process college life and getting integrated and making new friends. So, if you're ever struggling with that kind of mentality, you're feeling a little bit lonely because college is a lot different than it is in high school or living with your parents, I highly recommend to go meet with the counselors at the University Counseling Center. They're very nice, they're reassuring, and then they kind of gave me some really great tips on, how I can make friends or how I can stay involved. And it really made me feel a lot more confident about coming to UW and also the college experience as a whole. I also struggled a little bit with school just because my curriculum in high school was definitely not as tough as some of my first college courses were. And so I would block some time out. I would head over to the library and kind of just sit there until I got some of my homework done. And I also utilized the IT computer labs heavily. And despite the fact that we're doing this phased-in plan, the UW library is still open. So it's you all still have the opportunity to study at those various places. The IT computer labs are still open, and there's lots of study areas too that is at the IT building as well. So, having some time for yourself that and working around school, I think was something that, was kind of hard for me. But utilizing a lot of these resources was really helpful. I also went to the STEP Tutoring Center, which I love because they have a variety of different tutoring opportunities for classes. I was in a STAT 2070 class, and I had a tutor help me out, and it just made a lot more sense in some of the stuff that I was doing. They have, tutors for Spanish 1010, French 1010, psychology, biology. Literally think of any, 1000 level class that has to do with STEM or even just humanities. The STEP Tutoring Center has those tutors available. And they're also doing virtual and potentially in-person options this semester. So I highly recommend to utilize some of those resources if you're struggling with school. This isn't necessarily, a resource, but also just kind of a tip to just reach out to your faculty members. This semester is a little bit strange, and I think they want to be flexible with you and accommodating to the situation that we're in. Reaching out to your professors on the first day or even just the first week to kind of introduce yourself, talk a little bit about yourself and what you really want to get out of the course, what your professor's expectations are can really help lay a foundation for how you work through a particular class in the semester. The professors and the faculty here that we have are just spectacular in the sense that they really want to see students succeed. And so I would recommend that you all kind of do that in your first week of school, or if you're ever struggling with an assignment or a project that your professor may have handed to you, don't be afraid to utilize some of the graduate assistants that you may have in your class as well, because, they are also students. They kind of get how difficult it is to be a student with that coming like fresh out of their minds. So utilizing, reaching out to your professor and then also some of your graduate assistants can be really resourceful if you're ever struggling in school. I also went to the IT Service Center. They have a bunch of different technology that students can check out, and they're still doing that this semester. ASUW had actually purchased a big handful of laptops that students can check out during the semester. The laptop that I'm using right now, I actually checked out from the Service Center a few days ago, and they still have a lot for students. So, if you typically utilize the computer labs when you're doing work, or, you just want a computer that is probably, a lot better and more durable, the IT Service Center rents out computers for the entire semester for UW students. They also, have photography cameras, video cameras, basically anything that you can use for a school project is there at the IT Service Center. And they are still open and willing to, help students out with any projects or tech issues too that you may have. And, there's other places that are around campus that I think can kind of get you active and also just a little bit more focused too. I really liked utilizing the Wellness Center whenever I wanted to, kind of learn a little bit about my physical and social well-being. They have some really great offerings that are on their social media pages, UW Wellness. So that could also be another really great tool for you. But those are just a handful of services and resources that I utilize during my semester that you all, have the opportunity to do that as well. And so I think the next thing that I would say is you should join student organizations and participate in the programming that UW is specifically doing for you. We have a lot of virtual programming that is going to be happening this semester, and even smaller in-person groups that will happen more when the last phase 3 kind of goes into play. But joining student organizations is a really great way to kind of find your community at UW. As you've heard us say, and maybe a bunch of other people in UW Connect, there are over 270 student organizations that are on campus. We got student organizations for folks who want to learn how to knit. We got student organizations for students who are interested in cybersecurity, in agriculture. Literally anything that you can think of, we pretty much have a student organization for it. So I recommend that you all kind of log on to UW Connect. It is a network service that ASUW had paid for in the past that is basically just a hub for all of the student organizations that we have on campus and their contact information, as well as a calendar of some of the events that will be happening this semester as well. But I kind of listed off some various student organizations or, veins of student organizations that you all can join. We have various student clubs, as I kind of mentioned previously. Fraternity and sorority life is still doing their recruiting, just, adapting to the online circumstances. We have also more leadership-oriented opportunities too. So Courtney will talk a little bit about first-year involvement in ASUW. We also have a really cool program called CSIL, which is the Center for Student Involvement in Leadership. And they have a bunch of different things that, you all can get involved in. If you all are really into event planning, wanting to do programming for the university and kind of having a voice in, what activities we offer students, you all can look at 7220 Entertainment. They have various committees and councils that students have the opportunity to participate on, even if you're not, involved in them in an official capacity. So that's another way that you can also get involved. Also volunteering in the Laramie community through the SLICE office. They offer some really cool volunteering opportunities, including one of the biggest ones that we do every year called the Big Event, where students basically just go around to different folks in the Laramie community and kind of see what help and volunteer things that they need. And luckily with that one, that's a very easy in-person event that can still occur because, we have the ability to social distance, wear our masks, and then at the same time be in small groups while you're doing all of those volunteering opportunities. So this is just, if you're struggling in college, that's totally normal. And I think it happens to everybody, especially with it being a very intimidating experience. But then also coming and really living on your own for the first time. I highly encourage you all to do these various things, utilize the resources you pay for, but then also join student organizations and participate in programming, because this is, where you find your community at UW. And so student involvement this year, what does it look like? First, student organizations and clubs are still meeting. I'm going to do a shameless plug for the debate team, because we are one of the one group on campus who isn't, disrupted by some changes that the university would have. We've kind of known since, April that our debate season was going to be online, but here is some information about some info sessions that are happening on Zoom next week. And if you email our coach, Matt Liu, which is his email is right there, he'll be more than happy to give you a link. And he loves, talking with first year students too. But we have two styles of debate, essentially. We have one that is British parliamentary, where you get, your topic 30 minutes beforehand, before the round starts, and you kind of have your time to make your case then. But really, throughout the week, what you do is just research about various domestic and global issues, because you never know what you're going to be debating 30 minutes beforehand. But we have a really cool team that is very welcoming. And we also just have a lot of fun too, because, whenever you're debating about relevant global and domestic issues, you can kind of see various perspectives that a lot of people have on those things. And, bouncing ideas off of each other is a really great way to start making arguments too. And then we also have another form of debate called policy, and this one is a lot more evidence based. And so we get a topic over the course of the year, and then we essentially become experts in that topic. And the topic this year is about United States and their alliance commitments, but it's actually incredibly interesting. But that's just kind of a taste of some of the stuff that we do on the debate team. I know that club is still meeting. And again, I highly encourage you all to log on to UW Connect, because there is contact information for some of the student leaders who, essentially run some of the clubs at the university. If you reach out to them via email, you can ask them, hey, what's the status? Or, what kind of clubs are you all, or not clubs, what kind of meetings are you all going to have this semester, and when are those? And, I'm sure there are a lot of other student organizations that are still going to be doing that, because students still want to meet with each other, and we're social creatures. And I think even, in instances where this is over Zoom, we're making the best out of these circumstances and really still trying to build a community at UW. I know Fraternity and Sorority Life is still planning on hosting a lot of their recruiting. A lot of it, some of the things that they'll be doing are, like virtual events such as virtual bingo or movie nights. And that's, super, I think, helpful at kind of recruiting students in the FSL community, but then also kind of giving them a taste as to like what the community there is like too. And so I put the email there of the FSL advisor. Her name's Erin Wendover. If you all wanted to shoot her an email and kind of ask her questions a little bit about the recruiting process, UYO _FSL also has their Instagram, which kind of shows the two councils, the Interfraternity Council and the College Panhellenic Council, and gives students a bunch of information as to about, what's going on in their community. So this is just kind of a taste of what kind of clubs are going to be meeting over the year. And so, yeah, I highly encourage you all to, still get involved, because I think student involvement is one of the biggest parts of, the college and university experience. I'm pausing because there is supposed to be another thing that's right here. I also just want to let you all know that there are student employment opportunities that are available to you. I know the Branding Iron is hiring student journalists, which is a really great way to kind of get involved in communications and journalism. But, even if you aren't majoring in those particular things, the Branding Iron is very welcome to students from any degree. Mainly because, writing and telling news, I think, is something that is universal across a lot of degrees, which is why they're hiring right now. If you also if you look up, on Google, UYO job board, that's a really great way for you all to kind of look through the various job opportunities that are being offered on campus. There's also some staffing needs for COVID contact tracing, and also some part-time janitorial work that, can be a really great way to just kind of divest, listen to some music, and help keep the campus clean. But all of those are job opportunities that if you all are, looking to get involved, but also just want to make some cash too, that's a really great way to stay involved as well. So I'll turn it over to Courtney. She's going to talk a little bit about her tips and tricks when she first came here to UW, as well as first year involvement with an ASUW.
Thank you, Riley. Yeah, if you're just now tuning in, this is Talking with Talamantes and Titus. We do this every 2 weeks. This will be an ASUW Townhall. And as the school year gets kicked off, we'll have relevant pieces of legislation to discuss. And our president, Riley Talamantes, just finished talking about different ways to get involved on campus and her recommendations for success in this semester. And as Riley said, I'm Courtney. I'm the ASUW Vice President, and I'm going to share some of my tips and tricks with you all. So I think the number one thing, just for any year and any first year student, is to create a routine. And especially now that some of your classes are online, they may have moved to asynchronous, and sometimes carving out that time to study can be really hard when another episode of The Office is already loaded up and ready to go. So I am a scheduler, and I schedule everything that I need to do, from studying to working out to my hours at my job. And I think that has really been helpful, and it's something that I really sort of took for granted in my earlier years of college. So I encourage you all to find your own routine, find your own flow, and try to stick with it, especially when you may, be stuck in one place for longer than you expected, doing classes in the same space that you sleep or that you eat. It can get a little monotonous, so try and break it up with different activities throughout the day. And that kind of goes along with my next point of just trying to manage your time and keeping yourself oriented. I think, just staying in your room, it can be easy to get focused on one thing and kind of lose track of time. So try and set reminders for yourself and breaks, to get up and walk around. And that'll get harder when the Laramie winters hit. And for some of you who haven't experienced it, well, it'll be an experience. But you can still get out and walk around and find something to do. Log on to the UW Wellness Center's page and find a quick yoga workout to do. Just try and break up your day and create those little fragments where you have some time to yourself. And as Riley mentioned, just attending tutoring, this is probably close to my number one tip, because it's a resource that I did not use in my first couple of years of college, and I definitely wish I would have. I really underestimated how helpful those tutors are there. I actually work as a step tutor as well. I tutor for the Bridge program in English, so maybe you can come see me on Monday nights. But really just, access those resources. There'll be online tutors when we're online, and then when we're back on campus in person, there'll be both online and in-person tutors, so you'll always have an option for whatever method that you feel most comfortable accessing. And then I just wanted to emphasize just utilizing all the resources that Riley mentioned. Um, you know, we pay student fees to attend the University of Wyoming, and those student fees, most of them go towards the costs of these sort of services across campus. So make sure you're getting your bang for your buck, and really utilizing, that scholarship money or whatever ways you're paying for college wisely and really putting it to use. And then just a little nugget of, my mantra that I've been, repeating myself lately is just that the situation that we're in right now is temporary. And entering college during this time, it may feel a little weird because this is your first impression of what college is like. But I really can't wait for you all to see UW, after we get through this, and we'll be so much stronger and we'll have learned so much more about each other, and we'll be just that much more resilient and compassionate moving forward. And then my last tip for you is just to explore Laramie. Even for those of you who are from Wyoming, I'm from Wyoming, but I hadn't really spent much time in Laramie. Every week there's the farmers markets that you can attend. There's nice little outdoor eating spaces that, the Downtown Development Authority has set up that you can enjoy. There's lots of murals downtown. You can do the self-guided walking tour. So, take advantage of this nice Laramie summer weather. And, if you're moved in already, spend your time walking around Laramie and get to know Laramie. And if you're coming here, with the next month or so, try and plan out some things that you can do, maybe with some friends, masked up and safely socially distanced. And I do just want to emphasize just wearing your mask as much as possible, and always when you're on the UW campus, because that's really what's going to ensure that we can, have that college experience that we all want to get back to. So Riley talked a lot about all the different ways that you can get involved on campus in general, and briefly some leadership opportunities. And ASUW has a phenomenal program called First Year Senate. And First Year Senate is the primary way that first year students can get involved. And I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. But just to cover some other ways that you can get involved in ASUW, maybe you missed the application deadline. It's coming up in a couple weeks, or you decide first year Senate's not for you. You can keep an eye out for vacancies in full Senate. And you can also apply to join a standing committee as a student at large. And those are pretty low commitment, but a really interesting way to get involved in something that's bigger than yourself and get to know the university, especially in the time that we're in now where some events may not be going on. Your student government is still meeting regularly. We're still going to be tackling the important issues and still trying to get projects done. So joining those committees would be a really great window into the university and to getting to know some other students who are interested in things that you are too. And then also just reach out to your representatives in HW, let them know what you're experiencing, some issues that you're having that we can tackle. The students that have reached out to Riley and I over the summer have been incredibly influential in what we've decided to focus on. Lots of students have reached out to us about concerns for their student fees. So we have really made that a priority in what we're doing this year. And a lot of students have expressed concerns about their mental health and taking care of that side of their well-being this year. So we, sought funding for mental health resources on campus, and we're going to continue to support other programs on campus that support students' well-being. So I just really encourage you all to reach out to us, let us know your thoughts, let us know how your semester is going, and get involved if you can. And then at the bottom of this slide, there is information for applying to be in First Year Senate, and that's on the HW website, which is the website at the top of this slide. It's also where you can apply to join the committees and see about vacancies. But our First Year Senate has an amazing student advisor, Lucy Ward, and that's her email. That's where you'll email your application if you decide to apply. You can also email her any other questions that you have. And then I'll talk more about First Year Senate on the next slide. So if you're wondering why exactly to join First Year Senate, former first year senators have said that some of the benefits of it were obviously building the campus community, getting connected to other students who are interested in similar things that you are, also getting to know just different professionals across the UW campus. So it's a great networking opportunity. Obviously, you get to build your leadership skills, and it's a professional development opportunity. You'll get experience in writing legislation. You also have a couple scholarship opportunities as a first year Senate member. So it's a good way to, pay for some of your books, and take care of those other things that, may come up when you're in college. So what exactly First Year Senate entails? It's pretty low commitment because it's a good way for you to sort of test the waters and see if student government is for you and if it's something that you like. So you'll have to attend 2 committee meetings per week. Those are usually about a half hour to an hour long, and they are always planned according to your schedule, so there shouldn't be any scheduling conflicts. And then you'll have to meet with the full First Year Senate every Tuesday. And then you'll have to complete a service hour each month. And that's basically just like a volunteer opportunity for First Year Senate to help keep the group civically engaged and just giving back to our community. And I actually joined the equivalent of First Year Senate at the institution I was at before because I'm a transfer student. And I really had no idea what student government was. I hadn't joined student council in high school or anything like that. So First Year Senate for me really was eye-opening in that I really liked student government and I made a lot of friends, and I realized everything that you could do within student government that I really had no idea about before. And I know Riley joined First Year Senate her first year, so maybe she'd like to share a little bit more about how that went for her.
Yeah, so for first year Senate, we have students apply to be a first year senator, and then they'll bring you in on an interview process. So I did an interview for first year Senate, and they did not choose me. However, in about a month after school started, there was a vacancy on first year Senate because someone had resigned, figured out, it wasn't for them, and I got to assume their seat. And it was a really interesting experience because I had kind of learned a little bit about ASUW and the working documents that we have, as well as, how the process, for how ASUW funds particular events. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. How we fund, particular events. We also, during my year, I'd come out with a bunch of different resolutions to supporting, particular identity groups on campus, which can kind of be a really great way to not just get involved, but also kind of see, what the campus diversity climate also looks like as well. I really liked my experience because again, like I said before, I didn't really know anybody when I came to UW. And so it was really nice to be able to, eat at Washakie while my committee was meeting. And we got to talk not just about things that were happening in first year Senate, but things that were also going towards the full Senate. And, those are really big things, like the full Senate approves, our budget every year. They approve special projects fundings, which is basically a project fund that we have for campus departments who come to us and say, hey, I want to see an improvement in X on campus. Here's a plan that I have all monetarily, set out. And that's kind of what our special projects fund was. So it was a really great experience for me to kind of learn a little bit as to what student government was kind of about. And, I personally didn't like the legislative branch, mainly just because I didn't understand, how to write legislation. Some of the language didn't make sense, but it was really nice when I was able to kind of walk into the executive office or even just email some of the executive officers and kind of just ask them questions. One thing that I really liked about our advisor that year was she made it very clear that no question is a stupid question. And I really love that about Lucy too, because she kind of has that mentality that we're all here learning about something new, building relationships and community together. So asking questions that may seem basic, there's probably another student who asked that question as well. And I mean, long story short, I really enjoyed my first year Senate experience. It's where I got connected to a bunch of people who are in ASUW. And, when I joined first year Senate, I had no idea that this is a position that I would be sitting in 3 years. And so I think that kind of just goes to show that when you really, want to get involved in something, this is a cool opportunity that you have for you. It's a place, it's a time where you can kind of truly find your place within ASUW or just in UW campus as well. One thing that I do want to say about first year Senate, just like we do in our full Senate, we have special events that come and speak to our first year senators and our Senate. And so these folks are a bunch of people across campus. And it was a really great way for us to kind of, if I wanted to do a project with the Wellness Center, kind of ask them about, what some of their goals were on campus. This is a really great opportunity for me to kind of ask those thoughtful questions, get to know the head director, and then later, meet with them about some of the ideas that I had. We have our VP of Student Affairs, Kim Chestnut, and our Dean, Ryan O'Neill, who come in and kind of talk a little bit about our student code of conduct and whatnot, some of the things that are happening within student affairs. So it's a really cool way for you as a first year student to get to know some of the most prominent faces around campus as well. So I hope that kind of summed it up just a little bit, but I highly, if you all are looking for something to do this semester, I think this is a really great opportunity that we have in ASUW.
Yeah, thanks, Riley. I mean, that's a good way to put it. Just thinking back to freshman year when we joined our first year Senates, we really didn't think that we'd be here. So I think the, main idea we get from that is just that first year Senate opens up a lot of doors, and you never know where it can take you. So if you wouldn't mind flipping back to the previous slide. So at the bottom of this slide, there's a student advisor, Lucy Ward. Please email her with any questions. Like Riley mentioned, she's super approachable. There's no stupid question. She's really excited to meet you all and talk to you all. And hopefully you'll join First Year Senate and get to experience some of these awesome opportunities. All right, now we will move into our open forum portion of Talking with Talamantes and Titus. So if you're tuning in on Facebook, you can feel free to comment below this video, and we will answer your questions right now. And if you're here with us on Zoom, just simply go to the participants button and raise your hand, and we will let you speak. Or you can just chat us in the chat on Zoom, and then we can get your question answered then. All right. Well, it looks like we don't have any questions for this time, but posted in the Facebook event and also on our website. You can always submit questions to our anonymous Google form. Consider it just a virtual comment box, and we'll be sure to get to those questions at our next town hall. You can also follow us on social media. That's where we will be posting important updates about pretty much everything we mentioned tonight, from First Year Senate to our strategic partners in FSL and different ways to get involved, job opportunities, you name it. Our social media is a great resource for all of those updates. We'll also update you on any vacancies that come up in First Year Senate or full Senate, and anything that comes up over the year, any events that we hold. So it's a great way to stay in touch with us that way. And you can also DM us on any social media, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Answering your questions is always, one of our favorite parts of this job. So thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you for the next installment in a couple of weeks.